So Marbeth Dunn is an intuitive energy management mentor, international speaker from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You know when you're feeling stuck, unhappy, or out of alignment? That's where Marbeth Dunn comes in. As an intuitive energy management maven, Marbeth can pinpoint the hidden issues holding you back from your greatest creative successes. Her miracle breakthrough system will help you achieve greater confidence, creativity, alignment, financial success, emotional freedom, peace of mind, happiness, and more harmonious relationships. So you can literally have it all. Marbeth is an award-winning creator of the World Miracle Peace experiment that correlates with a significant drop in Mideast violence, and the founder of the Greater Miami Holistic Chamber of Commerce. She's been featured on Fox, NBC, CBS, and the CW. Welcome, Marbeth.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here with you, Lisa.
Yeah, you have a great background.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit of all over the place. Yeah, but it's fun and creative. I am a creative. So,
And
yeah.
you do energy work like I do, right? You help people over the phone or in
Oh,
class?
yeah. Zoom over the phone. Yeah, I'm an empath and as well as an intuitive, so I can feel in my body where people are holding their issues, and I can help release them, and their bodies basically talk to me, and I can feel it and I can help them release it. It's pretty easy, and it doesn't matter if they're here in the room with me. Most of the time they're somewhere else. So they could be in Japan or Australia or Europe. Doesn't matter. I can still feel it, which is so cool.
Yeah, I do that too. I kind of been moving away from it a little bit.
I understand, but here's what I think. We all have our gifts and we can utilize them in whatever we're doing. And so if somebody wants to become more creative, for example, there are ways that I can help them. And I can see where they're blocking their flow. I can feel that. And so, we can help them release that. And then also to pull in that creativity. And there's several tools that we can use. And I will share some of that on our call today.
Oh, cool. So have you thought about, what I've been thinking about for 20 years is how to put it on the screen. And in a big way, because I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are waking up now, but I'm not sure about, well, I'm getting 77%, but still don't really know that they are creating their own reality.
Yeah.
So somehow if we can put that on the screen, that people understand it's not them doing it to you, it's you doing it to yourself. Right? And then and the universe is just trying to show that to you by its reflection.
Well, it helps if you've gone through the process of awakening. And I believe that awakening is a continuous process. I mean, my fiance Harrison, who was on earlier today, had a spontaneous experience of opening. But and when I've had radio shows in the past, I interviewed people who also had spontaneous awakenings that were traumatic. They were just so traumatized. It was just like, oh, what just happened? What's wrong with me? And so I like to be a guide.
People don't know they're not going crazy, and that's kind of a message. You're not going crazy. You're just waking up.
Yeah, and there are films that highlight, The Matrix is a prime example, or Avatar. We're sliding into or out of reality, and many sci-fis where you slide in and out of reality. But but here's the thing, people are on so many different levels.
Yeah.
And it really is about oneness, not duality. And you kind of need drama when you're putting a film plot together. So how do you demonstrate, if you're sharing this inner peace, this inner transformation, is that going to really pull people in?
No,
Because
it's boring. You have to have
yeah, yeah.
the show. Yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah. And everybody needs a different contrast because they're at different places.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I feel also, that it's an individual process, but we're all going to the same place and we really are all one being. We're all one big self, one big mind, shall we say. But what's really cool is that we can tap into that mind through meditation, through mindfulness. I mean, there are definitely tools that we can use to access greater creativity and ideas of how we can share the experience on the film.
Yeah.
So,
It's for me, I think more, I think like a director or a producer. And
mhm.
a lot of the people in my group are screenwriters. But the way I think is how to show it as far as through the graphics or the visuals,
Mhm.
the film angles and different scenes. Because the dimensions are stacked, right? Like they're like next to each other. So as
Yeah.
when you change your mind, you literally go on another dimension. I think it wasn't there was a movie, Nicolas Cage, he made choices,
Right.
went like they actually showed him going like on different dimensions through. It's complicated. I think it can be done if everybody puts their own personal awakening journey in
Oh,
there.
sure. Oh, sure. And also, we we can go through portals, right? We can
Yeah.
go through portals in energy, and that's been shown, all right? Like Stargate, we can just go through a Stargate.
Yeah. Well, but people don't know that stuff can be real. They just think it's.
Well, I actually I took a training where we used a lot of the symbols from film, and everything from old TV shows like Get Smart, where you just kind of like drop through a phone booth.
I used to use for like people would be under psychic attack, and I'd say, well, just put the Get Smart cone of silence around. You know how they get that big plastic thing and they put it over them, talked
Yes.
to each other. So yeah, there's a lot of I really like. I don't even know if a lot of the screenwriters are conscious of it. I think a lot of it is their higher selves work through them and bring little snippets to the world. What was your awakening experience?
My awakening experience, well, I said I was a creative. I'm not a screenwriter, but I lived for 17 years in Haiti as a painter. And Haiti was a very interesting place. I lived actually the time through like 7 coups d'etats, and I had an art business. I
I don't
was
know what that means.
okay, changes of government. The government changed. I don't know if you remember in the 80s, Baby Doc Duvalier. Have you heard of him? No. Okay. Yeah, so I'm showing my age here. I lived in a country that was a benevolent dictatorship. And in the 80s, he was ousted. He married a very beautiful woman. They had at that time, it was a hugely a lavish wedding, many millions of dollars. And people started, and then they broadcast their lifestyle in all of these little Haitian villages, and where they had one TV in the village and they were looking at these lavish homes and lavish lifestyles. And it was really, people that really didn't have very much, living in grass houses and didn't have electricity. And so he was ousted. And after that, there were 7 changes of government when generals would just say, "Okay, you're out, I'm in." And so it was also, I was very safe, but the
Yeah, but
newspaper.
it still felt everybody would feel unstable, sort of like with COVID. There's this instability.
Yeah, and the news was just awful, and I was like perfectly safe, but we also had some interesting experiences, shall we say. So tourists weren't coming. I had a tourist business. I sold my art to galleries. I did portraits. I did murals, and and here I am. I had asthma. I was very ill, just not a healthy person, and very anxious and troubled in a very difficult marriage, and now we're in a very troubled country. There was so much upheaval, and I'd been looking for years for a cure for the asthma. That was actually such a blessing because it basically directed my search for healing, my search for a spiritual cure. So I tried all different things. And I tried Buddhist chanting and Dianetics and Eidetics and self hypnosis. And I was open, I was trying everything. And somebody handed me a book called A Course in Miracles. And I was like very skeptical that anything was going to work, but I was desperate. And so I opened the book and I started reading, and I didn't understand it at all. And one morning I was just sitting in bed and I was reading, and all of a sudden I had this aha moment that my thoughts created my reality. And that was earth shattering because I hadn't believed it until then. Now, so many people are sharing that. But at the time, I don't know how many people knew it. This is in the 80s. But it just totally transformed my life. And all of a sudden, I'm experiencing miracles. My relationship went through this amazing transition, and we healed it, and we reaffirmed our marriage vows, and my health got so much better. And in terms of business, remember, there was no business because it's very hard to have a tourist business when you're in the middle of an unstable transition. It kept transitioning. And so people showed up on my doorstep from France, and they, to find me was a whole other story because I was out in the country. They found me, they showed up on my doorstep from France. They commissioned me to design color note cards for them, and they didn't want exclusivity. And so I was able to use that money and live. It was just, we were so supported. So I went through a place of anxiety to just complete trust. And, basically riding spirit's coattails. So, and I, as an artist, my art, my creativity was basically my connection to source. I didn't really feel good other times when I wasn't being creative. And and so to be able to expand that sense of that creativity to other aspects of my life was pretty amazing.
Is that your painting behind you?
Actually, it is. You met Harrison earlier. This I did, and I don't really paint very much anymore, but this is our relationship. I painted that early on.
Oh, that's pretty.
And it has a lot of dimensionality to it.
Yeah, it does. I was a fine artist for years. I,
Yeah, we were
I
talking
was
about
fine, and then I was a commercial artist for magazines and stuff.
that's how I started. And when I was in college, I graduated with a degree in commercial art. So,
Well, and a lot of people in this industry are all artists. Basically, we're
mhm.
creative creators.
We're creative and creators, and you know what that means to go into that right brain, because that's really where these new ideas come from. So I guess the oh, Ravinder says that she is an avid art collector. Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't really paint so much anymore because my creativity is accessed through the work that I do, through I
I,
guess it's almost like a channeling of energy, and it's more encompassing, I guess, like a whole part of my life rather than just my painting. And so and actually, when I started, I was doing very linear work. I would sit in the marketplace in Haiti and just sketch people in the market, very loose, and then I would bring it home and create little vignettes of Haitian life, but kind of detailed, more along the lines, linear, like Beardsley-esque, you
uh-huh.
know.
Yeah,
But
I love primitive cultures and their I have statues and stuff of I like collecting that because it's so real and it's so raw and it's so down to earth, right? It's
yes, yes, it's very down to earth. And so, but there's a beautiful creative aspect in the primitive cultures as well. And there's also so many fascinating parts of it. It's a very colorful culture. The people are awesome and just very gentle. And I just really loved my years there. I really did. It was a wonderful experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
yeah, and you're in Florida now, so it's is it is it busy where you're at? Big city?
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not in a big city. I'm out in a smaller western. We're west of Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale's a little nutso right now because all of these spring breakers are in town, and I kind of like a little bit of isolation. I don't like to be in the middle. I like to be in it and then out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
As an empath, and I know you're very empathic too, you really need to have that space. You know, you're at Mount Shasta,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I need my space. I don't like to be, inundated with noise or other energies. I need to have my place where I can be peaceful and happy and creative in different ways.
Yeah, and it's an hour and 20 minutes to an airport either way, Oregon south, and then that's where Costco is. Hour and 20 minutes either way, basically.
Yeah. But I wanted to share some thoughts that I had on creativity because it's something that I think calls to us on a soul level. That maybe it's working in your garden, or maybe it's writing a screenplay, or maybe it's like you or me, or that it's bringing in, channeling that energy and just moving it through ourselves, using it as a way to connect and tap into that experience with other people. But there are ways that people can do that. And um, I wanted to actually share. I was thinking, what would be fun to do? Like, would you guys like to? I'm going to let you right into the chat. Would you like to experience a more of a peaceful place to just kind of open up very gently into attracting more creativity, or would you like to have a more active experience where you can select someone that you admire and love in your field and maybe tap into their creativity and feel what it would be like to be them in their creative zone? So just write that in the chat and let me know what you think. Now, there's lots of ways that we can do this. Robin Williams. Oh, yeah, that would be fun. And you know what? Just because he's on the other side, he's still around. We're eternal beings. We don't live and die. We're not finite. That's part of the illusion here that we're finite beings and that we're separate, because we're not. We're basically these amazing eternal beings, and we're all tapped into that mind, that mind that we're all part of that. So it's easy to tap into that creative energy, that creative source. So,
I think those would be fun. Yeah.
okay. Well, you can pick who you want. You don't have to pick just one person. Depending upon what kind of connection would you like? Would you like to, you know, maybe like Stephen King, for screenwriters, right?
Not for me.
Be like, who would you like? What would you like? So, okay. So why don't we all sit up straight? My writing mentor died in 2012, but when I'm in the zone, I can feel him standing with his hands on my shoulders. Oh, that is beautiful. I love that. So, yeah, you definitely are feeling that guidance. And, at one point I've had, different podcasts and radio shows, and I guess it was like a TV, like internet TV. And so I was doing a training, and I really identified with Ellen DeGeneres, and I did this exercise with being her, and it was just so cool to feel that energy. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this exercise together, and then I'd like you to write in the chat what your experience is. Did you really feel their energy? What did it feel like to be them? What did it feel like to move into that space? So, okay, let's sit up straight and tuck your chin in a little bit. I always like to do that when I'm meditating. I'm a Kundalini yoga instructor also. And when we tuck the neck in, that's called the neck lock or Jalandhar band. And it means the back of your neck is straight and allows the energy just to flow up your spine, especially when your spine is straight. So we're going to sit up straight, tuck the chin in, close your eyes, and just relax. So you can bring your shoulders up to your ears and push them back and down and forward. Just rotate your shoulders and maybe move your head around in a circle. Just really relax and move it in the other direction. We're just relaxing. We're becoming very present in our body. Now we're going to use the mindfulness part of this and focus on your breath. Focusing on your breath brings you into the present moment. And as you focus on your breath, you're inhaling through your nostrils in your mind's eye. Follow your breath all the way down below your navel. And then follow the breath as it flows upward through your body and out through your nostrils. So inhaling, following the breath, following it all the way down into your belly, and following it all the way back out again through your nostrils. We'll do that one more time. And just notice as you're breathing and you're following the breath in your mind's eye, what's happening inside you? Are you noticing anything different in your being, in your body? And now we're going to notice where the chair connects with you, with your butt, with your back, your feet on the floor. Are there any sounds, any ambient noise? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is the air flowing? Are there any smells? Are there any tastes? Just be aware of it. And are there any thoughts entering your mind? We're just going to be very present in our being. And now, just bring in the person that you would really like to understand, really feel what it's like to be them. And it could be Robin Williams for Ben. It could be Jim's writing mentor. It could be somebody else, somebody you haven't really experienced before. And, for a TV personality, it could be Oprah. It could be Robin is great. So whoever it is, just see yourself across from them. See them right in front of you, just right there in front of you, and you're feeling a lovely connection with them. And just imagine that you can lift your head off of your shoulders and they can lift their head off of their shoulders, and they are trading heads with you. And you pop that head right on your shoulders and just notice, what does it feel like to be that person? What does it feel like? Feel your energy. You can feel what it's like to be them performing. You can feel what it's like to be in their creative process. What are you noticing? How different is that energy from yours? Is this opening you up to a different aspect of you? And how is this affecting your creative flow? So just hang out there for another few moments. This is something you can do at home. And when you're ready, just come back and, exchange heads. Just make sure you give the head back and put yours back on, and then just notice, how different do I feel? Do I feel different at all? Do I feel a little more open? Is my creativity, is that feeling more open? And wiggle your fingers and your toes and come back. And let's talk. Like, what was that like? Was that like, and you can be sure to write your comments also. Let me know what that was like for you. And Lisa, what was that like for you?
Well, I went to my default, which was Jesus.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
mean, Jesus and Archangel Michael are the two that I connect with all the
I
time.
love
Yeah, he came immediately, so I didn't have to do the head thing because he was already here.
that. So what did you feel? What did you notice?
Warmth. It feels like a liquid light, warmth, liquid light comes. I feel it coming in. I've been channeling for 30 years, so it's real easy for me to connect and bring it in and just stay in that energy. I love it. If you haven't ever felt it before, it really will help you a lot to connect with your guides, your source, Buddha. It doesn't matter what you call them. It's whatever you choose.
Yeah, and
Like the creative thing, I just couldn't think of anybody right now that I wanted to.
well, I would say that Jesus is incredibly creative. And, and the thing that Jesus did was he mastered that connection to God so that there really wasn't anything else. There wasn't any ego that was left. It was all God. So when you tap into Jesus or you tap into Archangel Michael, you're just totally feeling that liquid golden love.
Yeah.
And
Buddha
that's
for me feels a little different. Have you tapped into Buddha? The
I
Buddha.
have not, but the energy, when I think of it, it feels a little more secular. I think, is that the word? Or more linear, rather than
For me, it's just it's like an energy field, and everybody has their own signature energy field.
Absolutely.
Somebody said they did Steven Spielberg.
Yes. Wow. Steven Spielberg said, and make sure he had yours. Okay. I love that, Judith. So you could exchange intentions. He's sitting on the edge of his chair, is more mobile and ready to go light and connected. I love that. And Rabinder felt the energy and retained Ellen DeGeneres' posture. Woo! I love that. And Ben sensed a glimmer in my eye and the sense of Robin's generosity. I felt a transition to entertaining to express my generosity. Then I experienced how deeply it impacted me that he passed. You know, that was so shocking and really impacted so many people. He was just such a light. And he is such a light, you know. It's just that here's how I see it. That we come into this lifetime and we put on a bodysuit. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Cocoon. It's one of my favorites. Speaking of spirituality, I see, you know, I see everyone. Do you remember the light beings in Cocoon? And they put on these bodysuits so that they would blend in and they wouldn't freak people out. And so I see that everybody has this light inside and we're just wearing these bodysuits so that when we come in to this lifetime, we put on that bodysuit and we put on the role. We're playing a role, you know, but those light beings, they just continue and they just continue. So that's how I visualize life. And so I know that Robin Williams is still around. You know, who knows what role he's playing now, or if he is playing a role, or if he's just, you know, and I think a part of us is always in that ether where we can access them. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they don't have to be dead. They can be alive.
Exactly. Like Ellen or Oprah or yeah, Steven Spielberg. I mean, that was.
They all have a higher self. So what you're doing is you're asking you don't want to tap into their lower self because they got stuff. Usually they're not that clear. So if you tap into their higher self, then you're just getting the best of the best.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, that's a very fun exercise because it can expand you into like, oh wow, I didn't realize that could be, or I didn't realize I could do this, or you know, wow, look at that. I just got, you know, just opened up to a whole new way of looking at things.
Well, it's
And
not only that, they've made the connection. So once you've made that connection, you could be driving or doing dishes or something else, and you'll hear that being will help you. So if you ask Robin to help you, he's right there. He'll go, sure, I'll help you, and he'll help you. And that's such a great exercise, Marbeth, that you brought everybody through.
yeah, it just came to me in the shower. It's like, oh, I was going to do something completely different. I was like, nope, this is what you're doing. So yes. And Jim said I wanted to connect with my favorite actress, but Ray Bradbury. I love Ray Bradbury. My writing mentor insisted on being here and having ice cream. Well, I get it. That's very cool.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense too, because on the other side, they need us to experience physical sensations like ice cream.
yeah, that does. It makes a lot of sense. That's beautiful. So yeah, and you know, play with this. You know, spend some time doing that. I mean, tiny little world. Yeah. He and his okay, Ben says that Ray and his mentor were close friends. So who is your mentor, Ben? Yeah, this is just curiosity.
Um,
Irvin Kershner. I don't know who that is, but
yeah, he directed Empire Strikes Back, and when Ray was sick in the hospital, he would go visit him, and Ray didn't want to be seen, apparently, while he was ill.
yeah, understood.
So my director used to go, wow, are you oh, look at this connection. All right, Jim, message me your email address. We'll connect.
That's so cool.
just boom, collided like that. That's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
So I also wanted to talk about, other ways of accessing creativity, and that would be through other types of meditation, just by mindfulness. The part of the meditation that I introduced where we were following the breath, just following the breath, it brings you into the present moment. When you are thinking about the past or thinking about, oh God, how am I going to, write words on this page when I'm stuck? Or how can I, like do something different, something new that, that's really going to excite me. You're putting pressure on yourself. But a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, there have been experiments. They're introducing mindfulness into corporations. They're introducing meditation and mindfulness into Google, into I
Like
have
Fitbit added it to their app.
yeah, well, Goldman Sachs, Medtronic, they're some of the leading firms that are introducing mindfulness. And then also Erasmus University in Holland, in I don't know, I can't think of it. But anyway, they did some experiments, and they were basically showing they divided like 130 people into different groups, and they tried a fake meditation. We're just letting people's mind wander. And then they put a third of them into a group where they actually did a mindfulness meditation, where they focused on their breath. They focused on, being in the chair and into their different senses. And then they had a third group that didn't really focus on anything or didn't do a meditation. And they brought them together, and they exchanged ideas. And the people that did the mindfulness meditation, the really meditation where they allowed themselves to just be here now, and you can focus on a mantra, which is just a phrase. um, I like God and I are one and I'm limitless. That's a good one. And or just Om, whatever it is, you just allow yourself to connect with that universal mind to start to pull in, some creative ideas. And one of the things that mindfulness does, in addition to increasing your creativity, is that it also increases your attention and your focus. And it also, a lot of times you have creative ideas and they're ahead of their time, and people don't really receive them very well. And so it can also give you more resilience and courage. And that's, something that's really important. So I do recommend mindfulness. I do recommend meditation. It's something I do daily, and it's a beautiful way to just open up into receiving information. What do you think, Lisa?
Well, don't you have, I've just put your link in the,
Yes, my mindfulness hacks for a peaceful, happy, drama-free life.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't
And
you teach, don't you have a meditation in the morning you're doing with people, or?
I did my last day today, but I am going to be doing it on Sundays.
Yeah.
Well, it was very interesting. I did this a similar meditation in 2018 for 6 months, won an award, and it was pretty shocking. And we basically focused that this is really, really cool. I have done a lot of studies, quantum physics, quantum entanglement, being an energy healer and tapping into this higher realm. I'm aware that we're all connected. And I'm also aware of the work of the transcendental meditators, Dr. John Hagelin, who was a quantum physicist, who also was the head of the Transcendental Meditation Association. I think it has a different name, but that's what he is. He led meditations in the 80s. Like, he led a group to Washington, D.C., and they all sat there, and you do transcendental meditation using a mantra. And you just do that for about 18 minutes twice a day. And so they did that. And while his group was there, the level of violence dropped like 75%. It was huge. And so they did other experiments, and they went to Israel, and it was during the war in Lebanon. And as they were focusing, on their meditation, they went in person, but they were like right next door to Lebanon. The level of violence again dropped. Fatalities dropped like 75%. Well, I thought that was really cool. And I also am familiar with the work of Dr. Lynn. I can't think of her name, but she did like the field, the power of eight. Lynn
Taggart? Taggart?
McTaggart. Yeah, I knew it was McTaggart. Yeah, and so I knew that we're all connected, and her research was proving that. So I'm like, why not focus on an area, get independent statistics, gather people on Facebook from all over the world, and let's focus on the Middle East. And so we did, and we did it the first month. I did it myself, and I was I brought in people. I had a guy in Japan, at least one in Japan. I had people in South America and Australia and Europe, and from all over. And I noticed that, wow, there was a drop in the violence. So I wanted to continue, but it's very intensive to do something daily. That's a
Yeah, and
huge.
you're out in the field for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I brought in other people to help me with the meditation, a couple of days a week, and then I interviewed them, and so the level of violence during the period of our meditation, and it was hard to know how many people were actually meditating, or did they just come in and say, hey, I'm here, goodbye, and left. It's very hard to be able to monitor that as like you can with a physical form, or a group of people saying, yes, I'm definitely here. The internet and Facebook is a whole other animal. So the level of violence, according to independent statistics, dropped. More than like 25%. I thought that was pretty dramatic over 6 months. And it was independent statistics from the ACLED. And so that was pretty awesome. And so I know that we are joined, and I know that we're all part of this greater mind. And so we can access that in our meditations. Set that intention, and really see yourself as receiving greater creative input. Why not? You got nothing to lose, just a few times a day.
Well,
So
and everything to gain, because you'll get to a higher dimension.
yes.
Get higher level thoughts. So if you get a thought, if you're a screenwriter and you're writing a B level script and you meditate, you'll get to a higher level. You'll get new concepts and ideas, and it'll help you put in things into the screenplay that'll make it an A level script. It's because your higher self knows what you want, and you probably want an A level, not a B level.
Right. And sometimes there can be, issues that are preventing you from really accessing that. Since we're basically light beings, and we have energy bodies and emotional bodies, and we've all experienced some sort of trauma in our many lifetimes. It basically can clog up the work. So it's really important that that aspect gets cleared, because you're able to hold more light, move up to a higher vibration, and pull more positivity and creativity in. Jim says, also, I practice breathing like you described, and it helps with chronic fatigue. Wow. And you've taught Qigong for 20 years. Yeah, that's why it isn't as bad for many people. I'm sure that is. Qigong is wonderful. It's a great energy technique. I love that.
Yeah, and I would suggest, Jim, take the my out of there. Don't
Yeah, don't own it.
own it. I used to have that. It's gone, And just tell
Until
yourself every day, it's gone.
Yeah, until now, I had chronic fatigue, and don't label stuff. You know, there are meditations, and there are a lot of different techniques that you can use to release stuff like that. You don't need to hold on to it. I had severe asthma. I had a respiratory arrest where I stopped breathing, woke up in the hospital. And then I was like attached to inhalers for many, many years. Bada bing, I don't have
It's
it.
great to me.
I don't have it.
Yeah.
Gone. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The kids at the summer camp I run are 100% driven by the labels their parents give them. Yes. And when you go to the doctor and the doctor says something, like the doctor told me when I had my respiratory arrest, that I would be on prednisone for the rest of my life. I was off it in 3 months because I didn't want that. I don't believe, I believe that, and doctors, they're coming from the goodness of their hearts. But when they tell you, um, yeah, when they tell you that you have this or you have that, it's like they've labeled it, and now you've integrated that into your being. So it's like they've put a spell on you.
Yeah, it's literally a spell, and it's a dark one.
And they don't mean to do it. And then
No, but
a lot.
they're asleep, a lot of them. They're dense. They don't know the difference, and they're just going by what they were taught. That's
Yeah.
what Jesus said, go home after he cured somebody, go home and don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens is because your family, they heard that diagnosis, so they're going to reinforce it. That happens with the C word, cancer.
Yeah, everybody's God, and
There's a
they're all projecting their reality, and so and even if they don't know their God, and even if they're dense and depressed or not feeling good, they're going to pull the energy from the level they're at, and they're going to shoot it at you.
And there actually is a morphic field around these different issues, like chronic fatigue or like cancer. There's a whole field around it. You do not want to buy into that field because some of them have huge fields of energy.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. The only thing I belong to is screen actors. Go through, do I want to be, so I don't identify as, I'm female in this lifetime, in this body, in a human body, but I feel all those fields. So I didn't really want to identify with any.
Well, it's important not to identify with them. And there are meditations, and that what I used was a meditation to, just remove this from my field.
Are you going to do the one for children?
What was that?
About the one I taught, because the kids, if you can teach the kids meditation, you can shift the whole world really quick.
Oh, absolutely. I actually was thinking about that. I haven't made a decision yet.
Okay, because we talked about it on our call, and you'd be great at that.
Oh, yeah. Well, meditation is an amazing tool. There are a lot of tools that you can use to shift your energy, to shift your vibration, to pull in more creativity. But meditation is a great one. And I also wanted to offer to anyone who's on the call that if you did want to meet with me, I can share that with you, and that would be for free. Yeah, that's my Mindfulness Hacks. And, and if you wanted to meet, I have marbethdunn.com/consult. So consults are free, and we can talk about, what might be keeping you back from some of your creative issues.
It's very generous of you, Marbeth. Your energy is very delightful.
Oh, so is yours. It was just such a kismet connection.
Oh, kismet. What's kismet mean?
Let me see. I just heard the Yiddish word beshert. It's like fate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, law of attraction, but yeah, fate. It's almost like I feel like I found my tribe
Yes.
on Zoom.
But yeah, that's so, if this whole pandemic thing had happened like 10, 15 years ago, we would have been screwed. Even worse.
Well, we would have probably been on instant teleseminar, but isn't that when Harrison was doing all his big?
He's doing a class on instant teleseminar right now.
Oh,
So,
yes.
so Jim says, I got interested in writing screenplays like this because Bill Douglas, the founder of World Tai Chi and Qigong Day, wrote a book entitled 212, The Enlightening.
Oh, that's cool.
Green screen phones during a pandemic. Yay. I know. I mean, the technology and everything, we're really blessed on so many levels.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and also I look better on here.
You're so cute.
Well, it's true. Like, I mean, I did one yesterday direct to Facebook, but Zoom has a little soft focus filter. And if you turn it up just a little bit, if you turn up too much, you look all fuzzy. But if you turn up just a little bit, you look better. And I don't need to, like, I have a expensive giant camera over there, but I'm just using this one because who needs the details?
Ben,
We all, you know, we can, and your higher self, when your higher self's in your body, you look younger, right?
absolutely.
The only thing is I'm still manifesting not needing these stupid things. Do you know how
Oh,
I got needing glasses?
what did you
My
do?
sister is 2 years older than me.
Hmm.
And she was like 45 or something. And I went over to her house and she goes, oh, and I go, oh, you're wearing glasses? She goes, yeah, I need glasses now. And like within a year, I started having to wear glasses. And so then I'm like with my inner child. We don't have to be like our big sister. Because my inner child was like aligning with, well, if my big sister's wearing glasses, then I need glasses. And I'm like, no, honey, you don't.
I know, and I don't think we need to be the product of our genes either, because that's just the physical form, and we're so much bigger than that.
Yeah, we are. And it's minor. It's a minor thing, but it's fun. I really enjoy this. I'm
Yeah.
still working out getting more people here, to put it bluntly, because you can see it's not a lot of big crowd. Spirit told me this morning to make a podcast out of these.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it is, because to the Visionary Entertainment Leaders Conference podcast, and then I'll have 10 episodes so far or something
There
like
you go. I think that's a good idea.
that. Yeah. And so what's your free gift for people?
Oh, it's my mindfulness hacks.
So it's
And
an ebook though, right?
ebook, but there's also an audio meditation with it.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so you get a taste we had a little bit of a taste of what my meditations are like. I have also on my website, I have a number of different meditations and activations, and some of them are just really pretty cool. One of them is like how I released having this asthma, or that whatever that thing that's gone.
Yeah,
Um,
that old me that had that.
that had that, yeah. And and it's fun. So check it out. I've got products there, and we could meet, and then also the mindfulness hacks, kind of a cool ebook. Kind of looking at what is mindfulness, and different techniques that you can do, as well as a simple meditation to
Well,
help you.
talking, I know what you're talking about, but it's sort of like a specific term like mindfulness. What does that mean to people?
Well, basically what it means is you're right here in the present moment. You're not in the past, and you're not in the future. So this is your pivotal point of power. So if, most people, they're thinking about, they're upset at somebody. But what it really is, because we're never upset for the reason we think we are, is that we're pulling issues from the past into the present. So we're not really in the present moment. We're basically in the past. And, you react to things the way you've always reacted to them. You react to relationships because that's what you did and that's what you do. And so you pull that through the present into the future. So now you've lost your power and you're just reacting. So when you're in the present moment, and you're not bringing the past with you, you're not concerned with the future, you're right here and now, you have greater power. And so mindfulness means that you're very present with yourself. You're aware when you're thinking, and you can just say, okay, I just had a thought, but now I'm going to go back to being aware of here I am, and I'm noticing what it feels like in my fingertips and what it feels like in my maybe I'm noticing some stiffness in my spine. I'm just noticing what's going on in my physical being, and that's basically keeping you in the present moment. And then you do just one thing at a time. So if you're washing the dishes, you're completely present with washing the dishes. You feel the warm water, you hear the sound of the water running. You're aware of your movements as you're, cleaning the dishes. You're right there. You're being completely present with the activity. And it can be a little tricky to stay in that space. It's something that you can start with just maybe a couple of minutes and then expand it so that you're in that space of the present moment, and it basically creates a greater container for you to pull in the creative aspect of yourself. And when you're talking with someone, rather than multitasking and you're talking to them, but you're also checking out your email or you're checking out Facebook, and what did that person say? And I'm going to just add an emoji here. You're going to be present with them. You're going to look them in the eye, and you're going to just be there with them. So I had an experience several years ago. I was flying to see my kids, and I was aware that I wasn't being in the present. And so I released on the flight there. I did some inner child work, and I was releasing these feelings I had as a young child of not being really treated right and being loved, and just releasing those issues. And when I got there, both of my daughters said independently, "Mom, you're so present." I'd never really been there before, and it was just such a profound experience to be there and be really present. Like, I feel like I'm really present with you here,
Yeah, you
that
are.
you can feel that. But there's an authenticity that Cindy was talking about before, when you're really present and you're feeling the energy that's around you, and you're being there and you're really connecting authentically with people. That's mindfulness.
Okay. I thank you. That helped. I call that awareness and being awake and being in the now
Sure.
and all those terms, but mindfulness, it, it works. And other people probably identify with those terms more than some of what I call it.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say. There are a lot of synonyms for the different words that we use.
And they're all a little different. There's a little different energy with each one.
And words are symbols of symbols.
Yeah, well, that's presence. When you're present, right? You got your higher self in your body, and you're present with it, because your higher self's always in the now.
Yep, exactly.
Well, somehow it's creating the future, but I think it's in the future now.
And I find also when I'm in the present and I'm connecting, um, right now, like I'm feeling like my crown
I can feel that.
chakra is activated because I'm receiving information. So I guess, some of what I'm saying is just coming through as well.
Yeah, and it's a safe space. It's a beautiful group of people who.
It's a beautiful group. I love the energy of everyone in this group. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Marbeth. This has been great. Everybody check out Marbeth's. You get more than just an ebook, so I would suggest you check that out.
Yeah, you get an audio also, and you can also connect with me, and we can talk. So that would be fun. I'd love that. So thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, everybody, for being here with me.
Thank you.